So here we are for Master Your Marketing. This is the first time I've run this training since 2024. I have skipped a whole year, but it is one of my favorite trainings. This time it has been completely refreshed, completely updated. So even if you may have seen a previous version, this is not going to be the same. And it's all very current, very relatable content designed specifically for coaches, consultants. If you're operating your own online business in this space, in this market, in our economy right now, then this training is for you. So welcome. I'm really glad you're here. We're here at Master Your Marketing Part 1, the strategic shift from inconsistent clients to predictable demand. For those who don't know me, hello, I'm Jessica Osborne. I'm a business coach, marketing expert, host of She's the Business podcast, and the founder of Business Jam. So if you're anything like most of the coaches and service providers that I've worked with over the last decade, you didn't start your business to be an expensive and time-consuming hobby. I'm sure you had other plans in mind, just like I did. You have real skill, no doubt, earned expertise as well, and you've probably invested in training, you've invested in learning, because you know that our life is a never-ending learning journey. And you have most likely also already served clients and already got results with them. And yet your business still feels unpredictable. This is really common. So I notice that, and I hear all the time from my clients, some months there are inquiries, other months it's quiet. You're kind of feeling like I should be further along by now, which is really frustrating. And in the back of your mind, that perpetual wondering, what should I be doing differently so that it finally grows, so that I finally am building the business that I envisioned? Is it more content, better messaging, a different niche maybe? And today I want to show you why that question in itself is the problem. So what I call the tactics trap. Most newbies and side hustlers believe their growth problem is a tactics problem. So they think things like, if I just share more stuff, if I just show up more consistently, if I could finally figure out Instagram and get that algorithm working for me, then it will click. But here's what I've observed over and over again. Tactics create spikes. I'm not saying that they don't work. Sure, they create a spike of results, but strategy creates stability. And if your business feels like a roller coaster, it's not because you're bad at marketing. It's because your marketing doesn't compound, and the answer is found in your strategy. Now, the businesses that generate predictable demand all have one thing in common. They become the obvious choice. Now, that phrase can sound really conceptual. You might be thinking, well, what do you mean by the obvious choice? So let me define exactly what I do mean. You're the obvious choice when the right clients immediately recognize themselves in your messaging. The value is clear without over-explaining or convincing, right? Price comparison is almost non-existent. Clients are far more willing to say yes at higher prices, and the price isn't even much of a consideration. And when someone asks, who should I work with for this? Other people find your name really easy it springs to mind. It's easy for them to say because they know that that's exactly what you do. You're not one of many options. You're the clear fit. That's where predictable demand comes from. The lesson that most learn the long, hard way is that predictable demand does not come from visibility alone. It comes from clarity. Visibility purely amplifies the clarity that already exists. So if you have clarity, then adding more visibility helps to amplify it. But if you don't have clarity, focusing on visibility now It's just amplifying the confusion and the mess. If people can't clearly place you and understand what it is that you do, then they compare you to the broader category. If they compare you, they hesitate. If they hesitate, demand becomes inconsistent. But when your positioning is clear and distinct, then decision-making becomes simple, and simple decisions happen faster and more often. So the real question isn't, how do I get more clients? The real question is, why am I still positioned as one of many instead of as the obvious choice? So today, I'm going to show you exactly where that shift happens and why most side hustlers have missed it. When you look around your industry, you'll probably notice something really interesting. Some coaches seem to be constantly trying to attract attention, while others naturally attract clients doing far less. Same platforms, same tools, same market, but completely different demand. Most people assume the difference is visibility. They think, well, that person just has more followers, or they've been doing it longer. That's why it's working for them. Or that's why they're the obvious choice, because they have all this history. But when you look closer, that explanation doesn't hold up. The businesses generating predictable demand are recognized immediately. The right clients see them and think, that's exactly what I need. No explanation or convincing required. They don't need a big audience to sign the clients. They have the big audience because they're recognized as an expert, because they're recognized as the go-to by those people, and therefore they join their audience to learn more from them, to follow them. And here's a great example of this, because Claudia, who joined my Business Jam program a few years ago now, she came in with an idea for a brand new business, her third business. She was giving it another go. And previously, she'd found marketing time-consuming, difficult, and her side hustles had never got off the ground. They'd never become more than a side hustle. But after she'd gone through this process with me in Business Jam, she launched her third business. She had only 4 people on her Facebook page at the time of launching, but within 2 months, she had been fully booked. She'd made more profit than her entire investment in Business Jam. And she was just loving it. She was loving her business. Of course, her audience was growing, but she didn't need the large audience in order to get fully booked. And of course, it wasn't because she was undercharging or underpricing or being too cheap. She actually had the offer that was exactly right for her ideal clients. So this worked for her because when you have a specific problem, you rarely just search for a generalist or a jack of all trades, right? Think about it for a minute. You look for someone who is clearly known for solving the exact problem that you need help with. For example, a tax accountant for online businesses. If you are needing to do your tax return and you have an online business that you know is not the same as a local business when it comes to tax purposes. You'd look for a knee injury physio when you have injured your knee, during running. You're going to look for a specific physio who can help you with that problem. You will also look for a YouTube video producer if you're wanting to create really great videos for a YouTube channel. You don't want just any video editor. You want someone who really knows and understands the YouTube platform. So that makes logical sense, right? But yet, so many people don't position themselves in that way. Buyers are constantly looking for the shortest path to certainty. The moment that they feel confident, someone understands their problem, then the decision becomes much easier. Nobody wants to spend ages trying to find the person, researching them, looking through all of their stuff. Like if they land on your page, see that you're the one that's relevant and right for them, and they can make that decision really quickly, that's ideal for them. The faster we can compress that decision-making moment, the better. But they do need to have the certainty. If they don't have it, then they're not making the decision. They're going to remain in that indecision moment. So that happens when multiple experts look similar. So the brain then does something really predictable. What we're all programmed to do as humans and have been for millennia, we group them together. We group like things together. That's what our brains are literally programmed to do. We categorize. Humans love categorizing, right? And within that category, we compare. Price comparison increases when you run out of other aspects to compare on. So the more similar something is, then the more the price becomes the comparison point. And that slows down decision making. Sales dwindle, they become unpredictable and inconsistent. What your clients are really looking for is that gut feel that this is the right move, and they don't want to be making that decision purely based on price. The businesses that generate predictable demand don't eliminate competition, they eliminate comparison. So this is something that I discovered the long, hard way in my own business. Let's take a little drink of my green juice there. And, in fact, when I look back, I actually learned this lesson long before I ever became a business coach. So I'll take you back to 2010. I was engaged and planning my wedding, and I was incredibly frustrated trying to find a wedding dress because the options just felt really limited and not what I wanted. They didn't suit me. You could go into a bridal store and pay thousands of dollars. You actually had to book an appointment to even go in and look at their dresses without knowing whether they were the ones that you were even going to want. So wasting so much time. You could buy something secondhand from, secondhand shops, but that didn't kind of feel right either. Or you could order a cheap dress online and, hope it arrived looking something like the photos. But these online stores you knew were based in China. They were just mass produced, and there was no trust there that these were going to be of any quality that you might want to wear on your wedding day. So with that frustration, I had an idea. What if I created the thing that I want? And surely other people want that too. What if you could order a high quality custom wedding dress online, but without that bridal store price tag? So I started a business doing exactly that. And at first it was slow. I was using all of my marketing experience. So back in 2010, I had at least 15 years of marketing experience under my belt. I was already a senior marketer at that time, and I did everything that I knew of to promote it. I was blogging, advertising, posting, trying to get attention. But something wasn't clicking. And it took a while for me to realize what that was. And then I saw a mistake that I had made. I had assumed that my customers were shopping to find the perfect dress, looking around online. But I was wrong. Actually, most of them already knew the dress that they wanted. What they needed was someone who could make it for them at an affordable price. And that ruled out the bridal stores because they only make their own designs. It ruled out all of these other options. And so that insight changed everything. Instead of positioning my business as another place to shop for wedding dresses, I positioned it around custom-made dresses without the bridal store markup. Suddenly, it stood apart from every other option on the market. Demand took off. I doubled my prices, and the business grew even faster. The decision-making time literally collapsed. I would have people saying yes just off the initial quote that I provide to them for their dress. So it just grew so fast. It was unbelievable. And I ended up hiring a business manager. And then I sold that business to focus on my coaching business because I realized I actually didn't love the bridal industry at all. I'd created a business because I saw a need and I'd made it work and it was fantastic. But then I sold that business to someone who had far more interest in that industry. But years later, when I did start my coaching business, so, I ran that bridal business for 8 years. while I was working my full-time job. And then I decided to start a coaching business to replace my full-time job. I didn't want to be in that corporate environment anymore because I'd made it to the top, head of marketing, and I really didn't want to be there anymore. It wasn't a great fit for me. I was, as you can see, here I am. Around the time I started my business, my daughter was born and she was my second child. I started it pretty much the week she was born, or I decided on starting it. And this is me in the early days of owning this business. But I made the same mistake, which is ironic considering that by then I had more than 20 years of experience in corporate marketing and I was head of marketing communications, very successfully grown a startup into a multi-billion-dollar company. But I started a coaching business and I kind of put myself back at square one. I really struggled to define my expertise because I had so much experience. Then I made the core mistake. I deliberately kept it broad so I could serve more clients. I tried to be who they wanted. I offered a range of services, different types of support, different price levels, and the result was something that I see so often with other coaches who I have helped over the years and who I serve. Some clients come in, some do, but demand was really inconsistent and it was hard to manage. Clients expected different things. They weren't all ideal. In fact, far from it. The majority were not ideal. And the worst thing was, for me, and I was still earning way below my salary, which I had set out to replace. In fact, I was probably earning less than what I'd been making 15 years earlier. I'd literally gone back 15 years of earnings, and that was extremely frustrating. I had moments of thinking, I don't know if this is even going to work. Should I continue? Should I just go back and get a job? It seemed a much easier option to just get a job. But one day I was sitting there, really thinking about my business and trying to figure it out, like what is going on? What do I need to change? And the realization hit me. The market wasn't confused because I lacked expertise. I didn't need more testimonials or more proof. The market was confused because my positioning was unclear. From the outside, it looked like one option of many among marketing people, all of them saying, I help you attract clients. There were web designers, SEO experts, branding agencies, copywriters, email marketers, social media managers, literally everybody under the marketing banner were all saying, I help you attract clients. So I wasn't appearing to be any different. And I certainly was not leveraging my experience and expertise and success as a marketing leader. So I just looked like one of many, many options. And that was when I made a decision that I needed to step up. I needed to get serious about this business. I needed to really own that authority. In order to do that, I had to simplify everything and step into it. I clarified who I helped. It wasn't easy. I sat down, I've probably got notebooks of pages of me going through, figuring it out, trying to figure out the best way to do this. Who I helped, what it was I was known for, and how I delivered that result. I had to really get clear on all of these aspects. In other words, I positioned my business so that the right clients could recognize me immediately as the right fit to support their next level transition. I actually got up one night at 2 a.m. in the morning, went downstairs with my laptop and sat there and rewrote the copy on my website, changed my offers in my website that people would sign up to, just so that I would be ready for the very next discovery call I had with someone. It was going to be the new me. And within days, actually, something incredible happened because a discovery call was booked and she turned out to be my exact match for my ideal client. And that call was incredible. She said yes pretty much immediately. She had booked and paid by the next day. And this was at more than double my previous rates. Now, that didn't happen because I had more testimonials, not because I suddenly became better at marketing or changed anything. I was still me. I was still exactly the same person that I'd been, with exactly the same experience, knowledge, and background. What had changed was that I'd finally become the obvious choice for the exact person I was here to serve and the exact problem that she needed solved. From that point, I found that the people showing up and booking discovery calls were really great matches for my ideal client. Of course, they weren't all identically the same, but they fit the exact person I'd been imagining when I created who this ideal client really was. They were a great fit for me, which showed that it was working. I was attracting the right people in. And even better, my sales call conversion rate reached into the 90%. It was at 1.95%. I was literally getting a yes every time. No hesitation, no negotiation, no one flinching when I said my prices, and they were the highest that they'd ever been. Demand doesn't start with marketing. It actually starts with positioning. And this is the biggest secret that most people never figure out until they keep going for years and years and years and finally get there. But you can change it. So here's Miranda, because I want to share her story as well, just to show what's possible. She is one of my beautiful clients who had come into Business Jam with me. She had been in business for a while. She was not new. She had been working at her business, and she also had a ton of experience. But she had been in this place where she was absolutely one of many. She was even crowdsourcing her pricing within these groups that she was in, asking other people what she should be charging. She had no positioning. She really had not nailed it. And she felt very confused and conflicted about how to do it as well. So that was what I helped her with. Literally within 8 weeks of creating the exact positioning that she really wanted, she had increased her contract value, i.e. her income, by 825%. That was an insane shift just within 8 weeks, from doing that change to the clients that she was then signing. So as you can imagine, that completely transformed her business. So before I go any further, I want to give you a really quick way to see where your business is currently at. Let's do an assessment together. Think about this as a simple recognition test that you'll do. So hopefully you've got a pen and paper. If not, a simple yes, no answer. Just keep track of what answer you are coming up with, whether it is a yes or a no. And please answer honestly, because I'm not asking you to share your answers with me. This is a test literally for you to do for yourself. So question 1, if your ideal client landed on your profile today, would they immediately think, this is exactly for me? Yes or no? Just be present to that for a moment. And be present to whether it's what you think they're going to say yes or no to, or your actual experience of people. Are people finding your website, navigating away, and you never hear from them? They're not opting in. They're not booking a call. What is that? Your data, your analytics will tell you the answer to this question. Question 2. When someone needs the result that you provide, do they compare you to multiple others before deciding? Yes or no? So this looks like when you have a conversation with someone and they say, oh, well, I've got a whole lot of other calls booked, and then they have the calls and then they come back to you with more questions, more clarification. And it's almost like they've got a spreadsheet or something and they're comparing back and forth between you and others. If that's happening, then they are comparing. When you describe what you do you have a clearly defined solution that feels different from others in your space? And that means it's not the same thing, just with a different name on it, right? Did you create your solution based off a template that someone else has provided, or based off what you've noticed other people in your space are offering and you've kind of just made your own version of it, given it a different name? Or is your way something remarkably different? So is it clearly defined? Feels different from others? Do most of your clients closely match your ideal client profile? Yes or no? I'm looking for a close match would be they're an 8 out of 10 or better. Definitely no less than 8 out of 10 match. Are they a 10 out of 10 match? Are they a 9 out of 10 match? Amazing. And what percentage of them are that match? Like, how many of them are matching? That's probably an extra question that you can ask yourself. So in other words, are you attracting your ideal client consistently? That should be an easy yes or no. Question 5, could someone who isn't your client accurately describe what you do without you prompting them and without them going to quickly check your website so that they kind of get the right words or what have you? Could they, off the top of their head, accurately tell someone else what it is that you do? Yes or no? So if you answered no more than once, or actually for question 2, if you answered a yes, then you're likely positioned as one of many instead of as the obvious choice. So when your positioning is broad, clients compare, they hesitate, they delay, they shop around. And when that happens, then something very predictable follows. The businesses that generate predictable demand, they don't eliminate competition. Then the demand becomes inconsistent. Some months the inquiries come in, some months they don't. So this isn't about becoming more qualified, it's about becoming more defined. So now we have a more important question to answer. If predictable demand comes from becoming the obvious choice, then what actually creates that? So in part 2, if you come and join me for Master Your Marketing part 2, you'll discover the structural shift that turns experts into the obvious choice. Without more content, without more hustle, and it's probably not what you think either. So tune in next week, same time, same place, and we're going to go into the next part of this training. It's going to be really fun. I've got 2 awesome exercises for you to do that will give you like an instant, like a quick result that you can, start making some progress with right away. So make sure you're there for it and hit subscribe now on this YouTube channel so that you will get those trainings, so that you'll be notified when we're going live and you can tune in. And also, if you'd like to get email reminders, if you'd like to join me for my VIP Q&A sessions that are going to be happening after the training, then you need to be on my special invite list. So to get on that list, then head over to my website, jessicaosborne.com/MYM. Add your name to the list. If you want to join the live Q&A sessions, which we do on Zoom, so it's very interactive, it's a discussion, and we can dive into your specific business and those questions, then you join as a VIP, and that you'll see that option there on the thank you page. Once you're on the list, you can then upgrade to be a VIP. So I'll look forward to seeing you in that training. And I'll be here for part 2. Hopefully you'll be here too. I'll see you then.